Hi, welcome to my YouTube channel, and this is my review of Louis Theroux's Forbidden America. And if you like what I've got to say, do subscribe. It's review time! Last night I watched Louis Theroux's Forbidden America, and it was worrying, it was interesting, and it's all the things that we kind of expect from Louis Theroux. And indeed it was confrontational. I think Louis kind of hardened up his act as he's got a little bit older, and he's prepared to go for the jugular a little bit more. Maybe that since the awful for, not because of Louis, but just because of the subject matter, but the Jimmy Savile Follow C documentary that he did. This isn't in that vein at all. It's following alt-right or the white supremacists, although they don't want to call themselves white supremacists, but basically racists in America who stream. And they stream to anyone that will listen, and they stream racial poison, basically, and they shout about it. They use unbelievable language, both in terms of kind of like regular swearing and indeed the racial language that they use. And I'm not going to promote any of them or mention any of their names, but they operate on Twitch, they operate on YouTube, and the audience pays them, which kind of amps up their poison. And the more poisonous they are, the more they get paid. And one guy even gets paid to pay German marching songs from 1938. It really is just hideous. And Louis stood on their doorsteps and confronted them. And of course, when they were confronted, they kind of reverted to the people that they really are, which is, you know, slightly misguided, angry children almost, and calling him every name under the sun, but without any argument as to the reasoning behind what they're doing or rationale behind what they're doing. It's just dreadful. And I do think all these platforms, Twitch, YouTube, etc., really need to crack down on it. It's hideous. And you know, when I was at the BBC, we used to get audiences of 10, 12, 14 million for the shows that we did. If nobody ever really wrote who liked the show, they just watched it, for which we were very grateful. But if they didn't like the show, or if they were angry about it, they wrote to us. And the threshold for sort of having to explain yourself, every letter had to be replied to personally by me, and if you got more than a certain number, and it was in the tens rather than in the thousands, you were almost up in front of the BBC Trust to explain why your show had attracted so much negative comment. You know, 6, 10, 12 letters, as compared to 6 million hopefully satisfied viewers. Maybe the 6 represented, you know, a couple of 100,000 who didn't like the show, but really, you know, there is an off button, and none of our shows were controversial in any way, shape or form, apart from Anne Robinson going on about the Welsh, but that's another story altogether. My point is that there was one point when Louis was looking at this live streamer and he'd got something like 614 viewers. And I was thinking, you know, it's pathetic, really. We're making this program and talking about the danger that these people represent because of these 614 viewers. But then, of course, A, it's 614 too many, and B, if even half of those 614 turn up to any of the race riots that have happened in America, or, of course, Capitol Hill, to storm Capitol Hill, it is a threat to democracy. And that's the trouble with extremism. It attracts a few very vocal, sometimes very violent, unpleasant people, and they can do way more damage and punch way above the weight than the silent majority. I'm not for regulation or censorship, but I think freedom of speech is a right, and it's almost protected by the Hippocratic Oath or the equivalent thereof, in that do no harm should be your right to be able to speak freely. And these people definitely do harm. When I was a kid, my mum taught me to use the telephone. She taught me to dial. She taught me how to dial the services should I need them. She taught me how to answer the phone politely. The thing that I had to be careful of was, in those days, we had a 4-digit number, Harpenden 36, and we also had a party line. So our line was shared with our next door neighbours. So if you picked the phone up and you heard somebody talking, you had to put it down again, despite the crushing curiosity to stay on the line and listen to what they were saying, which I never did. But there we are. And here my point is, my mum could teach me how to use that piece of technology because she grew up with telephones. She knew how they worked, and she could, as a parent, teach me all the right protocols. But of course, because we've all suffered from this, parents not being digital natives and our children being complete digital natives, they sort of know more about social media, online, the internet than we do. Hopefully not more than me. I don't say that in a boastful way. It's just I work in that area, so hopefully I know a bit about social media and how it works. But I'm also a governor of a school, and at school we have to be very aware, particularly after COVID and during COVID, of kind of online safety and safeguarding and all of that kind of thing, rightly so. But, you know, some of the parents know so little, and the teachers know so little about the online space and the dangers that it contains, that they can't instruct their children in the way that my mother instructed me about our telephone. There's just too much of a disconnect. Same goes for a lot of the teachers. And it's not their fault. It's just they are not digital natives. And maybe sense prevails and they don't want to get involved in the whole social media scene. But nonetheless, it's difficult. And we all know that the relationship between parents and their children should be strong enough that you can at least talk about it. And talking about the internet and the dangers it contains is really the way to try and avoid any problems, and make sure if your children have seen anything that they are worried about or has concerned them, that they can come to you without fear of being told off, because it's not their fault, and they can help. But, you know, there's a lot of victims out there on all sides of the camp. There was one poor young woman in Louis' show who thought all this kind of right-wing spouting was a little bit ironic and kind of a bit of a jokey thing and all of that sort of thing, which of course is the way all right-wing propaganda is portrayed on the internet. They start off with funny memes that draw people in, and before you know it, they're kind of being indoctrinated into right-wing through humour, jokes, and before they know it, they're marching up and down the street in Galveston saying awful things about Jewish people, or thinking that the chants are just a bit ironic and a bit funny. So it's sad. And the same goes for all sorts of extremism. I'm sure the young women that went out to join ISIS had been radicalised online, and it's, you know, exactly the same. People being radicalised to extreme views. So that's what the first episode of Louis Theroux's Forbidden America was talking about. I'm just going to go to the website there, and this is the actual website, and it shows you that it's series 1 of 3. So there's 3 more to come. One's about rapping, the next one. And when it's broadcast, so I watched the one last night, which was yesterday at 23:15. First goes out on Sunday at 9 o'clock. That's when you can see the rapping one. And there's also a showing for Night Owls at 1:15 on a Friday, tomorrow night. And that's it. This is one of the gentleman who was appearing on the show. Yeah, Rap's New Front Line is the next one. And then I just want to go to Louis' main website. And here you can view on iPlayer the absolute huge body of work that Louis has done. Some of it about murders, some of it about really serious things like anorexia, heroin. This is the Savile one, which is, you know, in hindsight, harrowing viewing and disturbing and kind of like, how didn't we all know? And then people who are insane, there's a lot of stuff there about child abuse and sex offenders and that kind of thing. You know, Louis is clearly a broadcaster of huge importance, following in the history of great investigative journalists like Roger Cook, in a slightly different vein, but getting under the skin of our society. And I'd recommend anybody to plough through some of his catalogue of great documentaries, and certainly watch Forbidden America, and make sure you understand the internet for the sake of your children. If you like this video, there'll be more reviews coming up in the future, so do subscribe to my channel. Thanks a lot and happy viewing.